As college football fans, we make bold predictions and hot takes that end up aging terribly. Usually we're wrong more than we are right, and in today's video, we're going to continue our series taking a look at bold predictions that ended up being terrible or were dead wrong. This is the fourth video in the series, so be sure to check out all the other ones and leave a bold prediction you have for the 2022 season or something I can include in my next series. We have 4 of them to cover today, so let's get straight into it. The first one is a fun one. According to a blog post, someone said that, quote, DJ Uiagalelei is Trevor Lawrence's replacement, but he may be even better. Yeah, this one did not age well. Trevor Lawrence was a generational quarterback coming out of high school and had an insane career with Clemson. By the time he had left Clemson, with a 34-2 record, 10,000 yards, 90 touchdowns, and 18 rushing touchdowns. That is why the expectations were absolutely absurd for DJ after he had one good game against Notre Dame in 2020. So, with all the hype, how did DJ do in 2021? Let's take a look. The former 5-star recruit got off to a bad start against Georgia as he was sacked multiple times, had negative rushing yards, and didn't even have a touchdown. They lost to the Bulldogs 10-3, and the playoff hopes for the Tigers were already pretty much done. His best game of the year came against Louisville, where he had 3 combined touchdowns, but he almost lost to Georgia Tech, had interceptions in 8 games, and never once passed for more than 2 touchdowns or over 300 yards. It was a bad year for DJ. He finished with 2,246 yards, 9 touchdowns, and 10 interceptions. His QB rating was 108.7, and he got sacked 21 times. Part of this can be blamed on the offensive line, but a lot of the times it looked like he was shell-shocked, and with 5-star quarterback Cade Klubnik coming in next, I think it's only a matter of time before he is benched and becomes one of the bigger busts in Clemson football history. We'll have to wait and see though, but that take of him being better than Trevor did not age well. So the next bold take I'm going to take a look at is actually one I made myself. In both my Baylor and Michigan State videos last year, I said multiple times that I thought both Dave Aranda and Mel Tucker were in over their heads, and that honestly, they weren't going to be that great of coaches. Boy, was I wrong on this one. And say I was completely clueless to what happened next. Let's first start with Aranda. Aranda made a name for himself at both Wisconsin and LSU before he eventually took the head coaching job at Baylor. In 2020, the team finished with a 2-7 record, and they looked absolutely abysmal. Charlie Brewer had the worst year of his career, the offense was ranked near the bottom in every category, and they only won 2 games. Combine that with lackluster recruiting, there was no reason to believe that Baylor would have the kind of year they had in 2021. I was wrong though. Gary Bohannon took over at quarterback, Abram Smith moved from linebacker to running back, and Tyquan Thornton became one of the better receivers in the conference. Combining that with their stout defense, they only lost 2 games. Those came against Oklahoma State and TCU. We really knew they were legit when they went and beat number 14 Iowa State in week 4, but they also beat BYU, Texas, and number 8 Oklahoma. They eliminated the Sooners from playoff contention and then were selected to play in the Big 12 championship game. They made a miracle 4th and goal stop, won the Big 12 title, and also advanced to the Sugar Bowl. They did get help by Matt Corral getting injured, but they beat the Rebels 21-7, and it was a terrific year for Aranda, and he got a major extension and is now seen as one of the top coaches in the country. What do I know? Seemingly nothing. The other guy I thought was in over his head was Mel Tucker. He had a great year too. Tucker spent time at Georgia, Alabama, and Colorado before he took the head coaching job at Michigan State. He did a great job in the portal as he landed a Heisman contender in Kenneth Walker. He also had one of the top receivers in the country in Jaden Reed and a good quarterback by the name of Peyton Thorne. Because of that, they shocked a lot of people as they went on the road and beat Miami in week 3, took care of Nebraska at home, and then beat both Rutgers and Indiana to start out 7-0 for a huge game against number 6 Michigan. In that matchup at home, they'd end up defeating the number 6 Wolverines before they would lose on the road to Purdue the following week. They had some playoff hype, and Walker had some Heisman hype, but after getting shell-shocked by Ohio State, the playoff dreams were over, but they still won 10 games. They ended up going 11-2 after they beat Pittsburgh in the Peach Bowl. Tucker also signed a massive extension, is seen as one of the top up-and-coming coaches in the game, and has Michigan State football in a great spot. Scott, you were dead wrong on both of those. The next hot take was that Kevin White was the best receiver in the 2015 NFL Draft. After being a 2-star recruit and going to the junior college level, White emerged as a star for West Virginia. In his final year with the Mountaineers, he caught 109 passes for 1,447 yards and 10 touchdowns. He most notably had a great game against Alabama in Week 1 and really turned heads by the end of the year to give him traction to be a top 10 pick. The other guy in his draft class was Amari Cooper. I've actually made a video on this draft debate, so if you want to hear more about it, be sure to check that out. But some thought White would be better than Cooper. How did that end up turning out? Well, it didn't go well. White battled injury after injury, and in 6 total years has legitimately caught 26 passes for 323 yards and not a single touchdown. He did have an almost Hail Mary though. Cooper, on the other hand, has become one of the top receivers in the league. In his junior year at Bama, he caught 124 passes for 1,727 yards and 16 touchdowns while playing better competition than White. That is why Cooper was selected 4th overall, and his impact in the NFL has been insane. While he isn't going to be the #1 receiver in the league, he's been good almost every year. He's caught 517 passes for 7,076 yards and 46 total touchdowns. He spent 4 years with the Cowboys and the Raiders, and it seems like he's going to have a nice long career. Those people who thought White would be better in the NFL were dead wrong. For our final bold prediction in today's video, we're going to talk about Trevone Boykin. At one point, he was seen as the best bet to win the 2015 Heisman Trophy, according to one site. There was some legitimacy to this. After the Andy Dalton era, Trevone Boykin would take over as the starter. He came into the program as a 3-star athlete, but turned out to be one of the best quarterbacks in program history. As a starter in 2013, TCU had a terrible year, but he threw for 2,000 yards and 7 touchdowns while showing flash for the future. 2014 is when he'd make a name for himself, as he threw for 4,000 yards with 33 touchdowns and 8 more scores on the ground. That's why many thought he could win the Heisman in 2015. He got off to a terrific start. He threw for 3,575 yards and 31 touchdowns, but he ended up getting hurt for their big matchup against Oklahoma, and with him not being able to play in that game, he fell behind and the trophy was gone. He still was a miraculous player, and people will always remember him, but then he had a lot of off-the-field problems. There were 3 specific cases. The first time, he was arrested in San Antonio after a bar fight. The second time, he was given a misdemeanor for marijuana and public intoxication. And then the big one that really destroyed his career was a report that he had broken his girlfriend's jaw during an altercation. This completely destroyed his draft stock, and he actually was given 3 years of prison. There's a lot of stuff that went on behind the scenes with him, but I do hope he gets his life together, and we will all remember him for how good he was in college. But that bold take of him winning the Heisman almost came true, but didn't. So yes, in today's video we talked about 4 bold predictions that ended up aging or going terribly, and if you have one I can take a look at in my next video, be sure to let me know down below. If you want to support the channel, be sure to subscribe and smash that like button, as it really helps. And also, before you go, check out the rest of the series and every other video on the end screen. I hope to see you guys again soon, but until next time, peace.